Shalom, everyone. The book of Psalms has been chanted and studied and recited for many centuries and is well known, of course, for its ability to give us comfort and solace and strength, especially during times of adversity. So I am going to try something new, and I will from time to time be reading a psalm and then providing some thoughts and reflections based on the psalm, and we'll try to keep it relevant and connected to the events of the day. So we're going to start at the very beginning. A very good place to start, to quote Rodgers and Hammerstein, of course, from Sound of Music, one of my favorites. So we'll start at Psalm number 1, and I'm going to read the psalm for you in English and then provide a few comments. Happy is the man who has not followed the counsel of the wicked, or taken the path of sinners, or joined the company of the insolent. Rather, the teaching of the Lord is his delight, and he studies that teaching day and night. He is like a tree planted beside streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, whose foliage never fades, and whatever it produces thrives. Not so the wicked. Rather, they are like chaff that wind blows away. Therefore, the wicked will not survive judgment, nor will sinners in the assembly of the righteousness. For the Lord cherishes the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked is doomed. When I read this and meditated on it today, I was struck by especially the first 3 verses. The first verse cautions us to avoid the company of sinners, the insolent, to avoid following the counsel of the wicked. And instead, it urges us to study the teachings of the Lord day and night, yomam v'layla. The psalmist tells us that the teaching of the Lord is our delight, that if we meditate and reflect on God's teachings, we will be like a tree planted beside streams of water, yielding its fruit in season, foliage never fades, all that the tree produces in turn thrives. In today's world, with COVID-19 swirling all around us, with an economy that is tanking, with panic and distress and anxiety the name of the game today, each and every day, it would be easy to kind of slip into a pattern of fixating on the news, watching TV hours each day, focusing on whatever our favorite news station is, CNN or MSNBC or Fox News, listening to all the commentators, wringing our hands in despair about how bad things are and will be and could be. But that is a way to avoid. I'm not telling you to never watch the news. I am advising all of us to limit our intake of news each day. There are many people on the news shows who might be considered, I suppose, ego-driven and self-serving. Perhaps they might even be considered among the company of the insolent that the psalmist talks about. Do we want to follow the path of listening to them for hours a day? Do we want to follow the path of obsessing about all the latest bad news? Do we want to spend our time wringing our hands in despair about how things not only are bad but could be getting worse? So instead, what I am advising you to do is to limit your news intake and take some time each day to reflect on the teachings of the Torah. Take a little time each day to study, open up a Bible, read a psalm, or study other parts of the Bible. With the availability of the internet today, you can easily go on Google and Google rabbinic teachings, teachings of the sages for our time. There are many, many websites that you can turn to for inspiration. You can look to Jewish websites or other kinds of websites that will give you contemporary wisdom to inspire you during times of adversity. But don't spend all your time watching CNN, because that would be considered like the chaff that wind blows away. With all the time that we spend watching the TV and the news, it does not bear fruit. It is, instead of a seed that yields a tree that yields ever producing fruit, instead it is effervescent and transient, and it blows away and it doesn't stick with us. And after we finish spending 3 hours watching the news, we'll look back and say, what have I done with my time? What have I produced? What have I accomplished? How have I found some measure of spiritual solace and inner peace from what I have just seen? Taking some time to meditate, to study, to communicate with our friends, with our families, to make up for lost time in rebuilding relationships that may have been torn or frayed or even faded away out of neglect. This will be a time that we can use productively and in a way that can inspire us to turn into bed tonight knowing that we have lived well this day and that we have something to look forward to the next day. Happy is the man who has not followed the counsel of the wicked, taken the path of sinners, joined the company of the insolent, but the teaching of the Lord is his delight. Like a tree planted beside streams of water, our fruit will be yielding each and every day as we continue to live each and every day with a sense of hope and a strong spiritual connection with God and with one another. For according to the words of the psalmist, the Lord cherishes the ways of the righteous, and we can become more righteous each and every day by living well, by prayer, study, meditation, and remaining connected with one another and with our God. Thank you, and I hope this will be a meaningful and beautiful day for you.